Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, thank you so much for joining in. So I welcome you all for the Bhakti Shastri class on every Saturday. We'll quickly start with Mangalacharan. Om Ajnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksharum Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yutapadakammalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sarvadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you so much for joining in, everybody. So what we had done is last time is that we had discussed till shloka number 11, and we saw that how the creation and destruction of material world happens by Krishna's different energies. Then there is creation, there is destruction, and everything is done under the will of Krishna. And though it is done by the will of Krishna, but nothing can bind him. And that is why Krishna becomes the supreme director for everything. That is, he says, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti. Under my direction, everything is happening. This material nature is actually producing movable and immovable beings. And that is why, though Krishna is the source of all the living beings, and still he descends in this material world as the son of Devaki and Vasudev. And but some people misunderstand him as what you say, they understand him as an ordinary human being, or just as somebody who's like avatar or expansion of Vishnu. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also has commented in the 10th canto in one of the purports. He's saying that though Krishna is coming as Manushya avatar, even though he's coming as a human being, and because he is in the role of a human being, then all these other rasas he's exhibiting, like the rasa of what do you say, fear, or because he's fearful. Like for example, when he's fighting, sometimes he and Balram, they have to run. Like when they were fighting with Jarasan, they had to run. They had to show that okay, we are fearful, and they had to run. Or sometimes he's running away from Mother Yashoda's stick also. Fear personified is running away. So somebody might think that, hey, if he's God, how is he just running away? He should stand over there. But because he is in the role of a human being, that is why many people misunderstand him and take him to be an ordinary person. But whether Krishna is a small 5-year-old child, or whether Krishna is, a grandfather on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, there is no difference between the both because their position does not change. The position of Krishna always remains infallible. That is why Krishna is called Achyuta. So the fools deride him as, just a normal human being as such. So having said that, those who are fools, who are deriding Krishna in his human form, then what is the faith of such fools? उनका नसीब क्या होगा? अगर कोई कृष्णा को बिल्कुल एक साधारण व्यक्ति की तरह लेंगे, तो ऐसे व्यक्तियों का जो है भाग्य क्या होगा? Right? So he's saying, Krishna is saying in the next verse, he's saying that मोघशा मोघ कर्माणो मोघ ज्ञानाविचेतस राक्षसम आसुरीं चैव प्रकृतिं मोहिनीं श्रितः. He's saying that those who are thus bewildered are attracted by demonic and atheist view. In that deluded condition, their hopes for liberation, their fruit of activities, and their culture of knowledge are all defeated. So he's saying that moghasha. Moga means actually, if you see the translation over here, it is baffled by their hopes, or you can say it is wasted, right? Krishna has used this word mogha in the 3rd chapter also. He has said that aghayur indriyanam mogham partha sajivati. Those who will not participate in this cycle of yajna, they will lead a very sinful life. And mogham partha sajivati. So living, so if I'm living only for the satisfaction of the senses, then I am a person who is just living in vain. व्यर्थ ही मैं अपना जीवन बिता रहा हूँ. So Krishna is using this word mogha. Mogha means waste. And if you see, Prabhupada is using the word over here baffled or failure, you know. And they are frustrated, they are deluded, they're defeated also. And that is why this mogha word has been used. So Krishna is mentioned, if you see, 3 things over here. Moga asha, moga karmana, and moga jnana. Okay. Asha, karmana, and jnana. And all 3 of them become moga. All 3 of them become moga. So how this happens? So when see, if you see asha na, asha means in Hindi hum bolte na hope, right? So hopes of what kind of hope they may have? They may have the hope of doing some karma, karmana. कुछ तो कर्म करूंगा तो मुझे कुछ मिलेगा. So, and they may be desiring also some advancement on that path. But what is happening is they are just frustrated, and they may be then out of frustration because they're doing some karma, and because they are frustrated and उनको कुछ और सूझ नहीं रहा है, तो then they will strive for the path of jnana, again hoping for what do you say, hoping for some advancement, desiring some advancement But again, there also what is happening is that in both the cases, what is happening? They are vichetasaha. They are bewildered. They are they are deluded also, and they are bewildered also. And why they are bewildered? Because their consciousness is misdirected, which means that it is, you can say it is directed away from Krishna towards something which is something, it is directed away from Krishna, which is imaginary, and which is beyond the truth or beyond Krishna. So, Krishna is right in front of us, but, or maybe Krishna is right in front of them. But instead of looking at Krishna, they have turned away from Krishna and they are trying to see something which is beyond Krishna. And that is actually called Vichetasaha. And Krishna is quite strong. If you see in this continuation of this mentality, and he says that what is happening to such people who are actually, turning away from Krishna, or those who are deluded. So then he's saying that they are, what is happening is Rakshasam Asurim cha eva prakritim Mohinim Shritaha. So he's saying that the Mohini or the Prakriti that is there, okay, and Mohinim Prakriti means what? Actually, the deluding nature, which is what Rakshasim, and which is what Asuri also, atheistic also, which is demonic, and they take shelter of that. Means what? They already have some misconceptions, and because they are entertaining such misconceptions, whatever they are practicing, they are not getting success. On the contrary, if they go deeper into that illusion, they will fall into worst suffering, worst, they will get entangled also. So, and what is it entangled? It is actually the karmic bondage. They will fall into a deeper illusion. So, bondage that is there, bondage comes in two ways. Okay. One is when we take birth and exhaust our bad karmas. And other is we get sinful desires. And when these kind of desires comes one after another, the soul becomes very much helpless. They are caught away and they're carried away by these misconceptions, their misdirected desires, which is coming from these misconceptions. So then that is why they are taking shelter of this Prakriti, which is Rakshasi, which is Asuri, and which is demonic. So if you see Prabhupada's translation over here, when he's doing is Rakshasim ka, he's saying that, I'm sorry, Rakshasim ka he's saying demonic, and Asurim ka he's saying atheistic, right? So because of this misunderstanding of Krishna, they suffer. And that is why this verse actually clearly, if you see, it is referring to the Mayavadis. Of course, in the 12th chapter also, Arjuna will ask a question that those who are worshipping the impersonal, will they attain, Krishna? But that path is full of klesha, kleshodhikarastha. It is full of klesha, means बहुत कष्ट से भरा हुआ है वो मार्ग. And Krishna says about devotional service in the 12th chapter that if such people take up to, bhakti or devotional service, then they'll soon come back to me. So, Krishna contrasts two paths, the personal path and the impersonal path. But in the impersonal path, Brahmavad is not offensive to the absolute. Brahmavad is just attraction to the impersonal manifestation of the absolute truth. But here, it is not just attraction to absolute truth in the impersonal manifestation. Along with that, there is minimization also of his position. And in Mayavadis, what they do is they are offensive towards the personal aspect of the absolute truth. It is exactly just like that. Okay, for example, let me take a name from our class. Okay. For example, we have Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu. Let's take Prabhuji's name. Sorry, Prabhuji, I am taking just an example of yours. And Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu is present. He has a personal form. He talks to his wife. He talks to his children. He talks to Sushil Prabhu. Everything is there and everybody can see also. But what is happening is that we all in the class, we say, no, Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu does not exist only. So how bad Lakshmi Narayan Prabhu would feel? Ki, hey, I'm existing. I'm talking to my wife, I'm talking to my children, I'm talking to devotees, and I am interacting with so many people. And these people are saying that I don't exist only. Same way, these Mayavadis also, what they do is they actually reject the personal form of the Lord. And that is why they're doing offense towards the personal aspect of Krishna. And that is why it is leading to very detrimental results. So that is why people will go into a deeper and deeper and deeper illusion. And then that is why they have to suffer. Now, if you see in Srila Prabhupada's purport also over here, where he's mentioning from this Brihad Vishnu Smriti, it is clearly stating that one who considers the body of Krishna to be material should be driven out from all rituals and activities of the Shruti and the Smriti. And if by chance sees his face, one should take at once bath in the Ganges to rid himself of that infection. अभी कोरोना का इन्फेक्शन गया तो हम लोग क्या करते थे, तुरंत ही आके फटाफट घर में स्नान कर लेते थे, right? Because that infection is so very dangerous. Similarly, somebody is considering Krishna's body to be material. So that is why he's saying that if you see over here, even in then he's saying that yo veti bhautikam deham, that anybody is considering Krishna's body to be material, and Krishnasya Paramatmanaha. So, who is that Krishna? That Krishna is Paramatma. He is Param Atma. He is the super soul. And that is why Yoveti means those who are thinking that Krishna's body or Deha, Bhautikam Deham, those who are thinking Krishna, who is the super soul of all the living entities, his Deha is Bhautikam. His body is material body. Then Sasarva Swamad Bahishkarya. Bahishkarna. You should Bahishkar karna, uska Hindi में बोलते हैं ना. You should boycott. And such a person should be boycotted also. It should be, driven away also. It should be exiled also. That is what. And Shrutauta Samartha Vidanatah. So, Shruta means actually what? The Shrutis. And Smartha means what? The Smritis. And he's saying that Mukham tasya tasya valokapaiya. He's saying that such a person should not be even allowed to participate in any religious rituals also. Religious rituals means what? Ki such a person should not be welcomed into housewarming ceremony or any marriage ceremony or any Upanayam samskara or name giving samskaras. Such person or Vastu Shanti or Griha Pravesh, such person should not be actually allowed to participate. And uh, and in case somebody has by chance seen such a person or he has interacted with such a person, then what should he do? Sachalem snanam acharet. One has to bathe in the Ganges to purify himself. So if you see that if such a person is having some exception about Krishna, so if the person is having some different conception of Krishna, then what do the devotees have? Is that that person is actually so dangerous that that person has to be boycotted and one has to take a bath. But over here, actually, in toto, no, we have to understand the principle. What is the principle spoken over here? Means what? That this material world, if you see, it's a very deceased place. Deceased place means it's just like a hospital. And we have come over here to be cured. And what is my disease actually? My disease is that I want to be independent of Krishna. I want to enjoy independently of Krishna. And different people will also have different infections. Some people externally might look very healthy, but internally might have some very khatarnak diseases or infections. And if a person comes in contact with that particular person, that person might also contract that infection. And that infection might kill him also. So an ordinary person might understand that infection, infection hai. But the doctor understands that this person has got infection. And if you see many times, what they do is that when a person is having infection, what do we do in Corona time? What did we do? Deadly infection है तो उनको क्या किया था? Quarantine कर दिया था. Means what? Such people have to be kept separately. And separately means what? His food, clothing, everything interaction, should be actually kept separately. And people should be very careful so that, they don't interact with such person who has got a deadly infection. So, to quarantine is required not because that person, we hate that person. Like, for example, in our family also, we had got our family members also corona, but we did not start hating them. We in fact started showing more compassion towards them, or we did not deride है घर से बाहर निकल जाओ तुमको अभी कोरोना हो गया. No, but the point is that such a person's disease should not spread to others. So just as there is some physical, disabilities to some person, which is not visible to my eyes, but those with that eyes of knowledge can see, and they will warn us to protect ourselves. They may even impose certain things which is very extreme, right? In Corona time, the patients which are there, uh, or even TB patients, what are they asked to do? They're asked to actually put a mask, or the other person is also asked to put a mask around his face and then talk. So these impersonalists, especially not the Brahmavadis, but the Mayavadis, they are very seriously infected by this misconception. And that is killing bhakti. But if a devotee, so because if a bhakta and Bhagwan are one, then there is, no meaning to bhakti. What they are saying, Mayavadis are saying that me and God are one. Like, this is their misconception. So bhakti is actually, choked and killed by the Mayavadi's conception. And for that to happen for the soul is the greatest disaster. Like, to some extent, if someone is practicing material life and he engages into too much of sense gratification, that also is affecting, very badly our bhakti. But that adverse effect that is there, it's not masking that person from spiritual life. One understands that okay, this is spiritual and this is material, and I have given up my spiritual life, and I'm actually turned towards material life. And a person who understands spiritually can understand that okay, this material person no is actually has got some disease, and a spiritual person is like a healthy person. We can differentiate between who's pure and who's not pure, but we don't judge. So materialism is largely like an infection which is visible to the perceptive eye. Only those who can perceive. Who can perceive? Guru can perceive. Pure devotees can perceive. And that this person is too much caught up in wealth. That is why if you see, our spiritual masters could even read our minds. Or our spiritual masters are able to even read our minds even in the current situation. So uh, they could read that uh, this person is too much, caught up with the lust of power or lust of sex or wealth, and he's infected by this material infection. And uh, that is why such people will not be mistaken to be a spiritually advanced person or a spiritually healthy person. Give me a minute. But when a Mayavadi, when a person is Mayavadi, externally that person might be quoting verses left, right, and center. He might be wearing saffron also. He may appear very saintly also. But internally there is some Bhayankar Maha infection, Bhayankar Maha Bimari. And that is why we devotees have to be very careful. We people have to be very vigilant enough that whether how he's quoting from the Shastras or not. So, in principle over here, that there is an infection, and that infection can come to us also. And that is why we have to be cautious, and that is why Prabhupada says, no, Mayavadi Bhashya Shunile Hoye Sarvanash. मतलब कुछ अच्छा हो ही नहीं सकता उस व्यक्ति का जो is exactly Prabhupada is giving an analogy on many of his purports. He's saying that milk touched by a serpent. And if now we will interact with such impersonalist, like, uh, we also, might contract that impersonalism, infection. And we might also, start rejecting Krishna's personal form also. Like some kind of, some kind of impersonal conception also, if somebody, they might not be, Mayavadi, but maybe some under Mayavadi influence also. So suppose like, for example, if some old friend is coming to meet, and if she's talking about some impersonalist concept, and we don't have to do basically, what do you say, bahishkar or drive her away, but uh, we have to see to it that we have to protect ourselves from that particular influence or infection. So it may vary from time, place, and circumstance. But if you see, we can be polite, but we cannot, like, Prabhupada also, when he met some Mayavadis at some, cultural programs or a cultural level, he was very polite with them. And when you see, in 1968, when Srila Prabhupada, fell sick in America, and a Mayavadi sannyasi came to meet him, he was very polite with him. And he told his disciples to get up so that the sannyasi gets a chair. And when he himself was, living, Srila Prabhupada got up and tried to walk up to the door. Very mannerful he behaved. And he said that, no, Swamiji, take rest. But so both, both were polite to each other, but there might be philosophical differences also. But that does not mean that we abandon our samskaras or we abandon our culture. But when there are instructions from the scriptures, we can understand how uh, um, grave this misconception is. How you can say very serious this disease is. So we have to actually be very alert, and we have to protect ourselves. But uh, we have to see that we don't behave with these Mayavadis in an uncultured manner. Of course, we should not even listen to them. And because we should see that these Mayavadis actually are souls who need actually shelter of Krishna. We may not be having this adhikar or qualification to give Krishna to them. They may, give Mayavad to us somehow if we try to teach them. So that is why we will not have any philosophical discussion with them. But we can be very, culturally, we can be very polite to them. And then we don't get, influenced by them so much. And that is why, in that way, we can actually protect ourselves from being influenced by them in that way. Okay, so we'll go to the next shloka. So very important now that sometimes we just get carried away, and we should not get carried away. That is the main this about Mayavadis. Okay. Now Krishna in this section will be saying that those who are my pure devotees, they worship me with constant devotion. They constantly worship me. Now, how is that possible? Give me a minute. So he says that Mahatmanas tu mam partha devim prakritim ashrita bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. So he's saying that, O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls are under the protection of the divine nature. They are fully engaged in devotional service because they know me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, original and inexhaustible. So, if you see where he's describing the Mayavadis in this previous verse or previous to this, the 11th shloka also, in a very strong way, Krishna now is turning towards Shuddha Bhakti or Keval Bhaktas, So Krishna, I told you many times, he does a compare and contrast. Very beautiful है. पहले जो नहीं करना है वो बताएंगे, अब जो करना है वो बताएंगे, या दोनों के बीच में कंपैरिजन बताएंगे और हमें बताएंगे कि अच्छा आप इसमें से चुनो, आपको क्या करना है. आपको शुद्ध भक्त बनना है या आपको मायावादी बनना है, आपको ब्रह्मवादी बनना है, that way. So he's saying over here, Mahan Atmana. So because Krishna na over here also is giving actually two extremes. He has given extremes in the 11th shloka also and in the 12th shloka also, that okay, this is the most dangerous understanding. And now he is giving the most highest understanding also. So the same thing, if you see, even in the 7th chapter he had done, when he had told that Mama Maya Duratyaya, and then he said about the 4 kinds of people who surrender and 4 kinds of people who do not surrender to him. And then he gave a very complete, you can say, spectrum over there. So over here also, he's giving this, spectrum, and over here now he's going to go more deeper into each of these categories in a very different way, where the focus will be more on Krishna, on himself also, and the people's understanding about him. See, in the 7th chapter, the focus was on people's own conception and their desire. It was not their conceptions about Krishna. Means, and even in the, I think it's the 15th shloka, those misconceptions were not about Krishna, but they were just misconceptions that they have. Like, Moodas think, like foolish people think that, working hard is the standard to get success in life. And Naradharmas think that, oh, sensual pleasure is very important, and they keep on craving for worldly things. And they do not think anything higher. They want, like a good standard of life that way. And those who are Maya Aparita Gyanis, they have knowledge, but they have forgotten the ultimate purpose of knowledge. The ultimate purpose of knowledge is we have to be spiritual and we have to be devoted to Krishna. We have to be surrendered to Krishna. And those who are Asurim Bhavam Ashtam. So they are completely, demonic people, anti-religious people, anti-spiritual people. Uh, they completely anti towards Krishna also, but um, uh, they are sorry, they are anti towards God, but not specifically anti Krishna. So the focus is on both the ways, where people have their understanding about their own conceptions, and that it is covered. But over here, Krishna is talking about the focus will be more and more on him, so that the glory of bhakti to him can be very much revealed eventually. So here the focus will be, so here this his focus is what is people's conception of him. So when we talk about Mayavadis, what do the Mayavadis, they have the conception about that Manusham Tanum Ashitam. So he's talking about those who take shelter of him. What is their understanding about Krishna? So that is why he's saying that Mahan Atma, Maha Atma, है ना? So he's saying Mahatmanas tu Mam Partha, the great soul, those who are Mahatmas. What is happening? What do they do? Devim Prakritim Ashrita. They take shelter of Devi Prakriti. And when they are taking shelter of Devi Prakriti, then what they do? They do Bhajanti. They worship me. They are rendering service to me. This is what Prabhupada is, translating as Bhajanti. And uh, and how do they worship me? What is the quality of their worship? Then he is saying that Ananya Manasaha, without deviation of that mind. Their mind does not go to any other thing other than me. जैसे एक होता है ना, एक चुंबक होता है, ठीक है ना, अगेन एंड अगेन it will try to stick around. Or if you see a small child also, he feels so much, you know, safe and secure in the mother's lap. Or if the mother is not around him, how that child feels very insecure and he starts crying for the mother. Then immediately the mother has to come. So this is the state of those Ananya Bhaktas when they are not able to render service to Krishna. So their mind is 24/7. Even 1 nanosecond also they cannot think without Krishna. And why do their mind does not go at other places? Why is their mind not deviated? Because Gyatva Bhuta Adim Avyayam. Because they understand that Krishna is uh, the Adi Bhutam, the origin of the creation. He is the beginning of all the existence. And he is Avyayam also. Two characteristics of Krishna have been given, that Krishna is inexhaustible or imperishable as such. So this conception of this Bhutadim and this Avyayam is exactly opposite to the seventh chapter में जो है ना and even in this ninth chapter where he's saying that मनुष्यम तनुम आश्रितम है ना परम भावम अज्ञानतो. So there they think that Krishna is impersonal and temporary and he has taken a human form, but they do not know the transcendental nature of Krishna. But here what is happening is that these Mahatmas, they know the transcendental nature. They have this Gyatva. है ना? They have this uh, uh, Gyan. And what do they do? What knowledge do they have? They know about that Krishna is the origin, the Adi. Adim Bhuta is the origin of the creation. He is the beginning of the existence. And he is imperishable. So this is saying that Krishna is saying about himself only in an eternal term, not just something, verbally he's saying. And that is why he's saying that he's saying Ananya Manaso. Ananya Manaso means what? Anybody, any great soul or this Mahatma who is fixing himself only on Krishna, not on any other demigod also, not on any Brahman also form of Krishna. And that is why Krishna is using this word Mahatma to describe them. So, see, even in the 7th chapter also, Krishna used this word, to describe those who are surrendered to him after many, many lifetimes, right now. That Bahunama Janma Namante Jnanavan Ma Prapadyante Vasudeva Sarveti Saha Mahatma Sudurlabha. Right after many, many lifetimes, Bahunama Janma Namante. And if you see in the 8th chapter also, those who are 8th chapter, there is a shloka. Just give me 1 minute, okay? I'm just forgetting that shloka number. Great souls, right? Mamapita Punarjanma Dukhalama Shashvatam. Napnuvanti Mahatmana Samsiddhim Paramam Gati. So, even in this particular shloka, he is describing those who are devoted to me will come back to me. Param Gati, will return back to me in this, in the spiritual world. So, Mahatmas are those people who are surrendered to Krishna. We don't give a title to anybody who's not, we don't give this Mahatma title to anybody who's not surrendered to Krishna. This Mahatma title is given only to that person who is surrendered to Krishna. And that is why the uh, that Mahatma is a person who is actually propagating uh, the Supreme Lord's message, who is uh, who is giving knowledge about Krishna. So our Mahatmas which are there, in our line, that their message is, chant Hare Krishna. We are not the body, we are the soul, and soul is happy when we serve Krishna. And when people will hear these messages and appreciate, then they can, see that who is a real Mahatma. So, that is why we are very tiny souls, and Krishna is Param, Atma. And that is why um, uh, Krishna is also called Mahatma. Mahan Atma, right? So that way, those who are connected to Krishna are also called Mahatma. Krishna is also called Mahan Atma. And the soul will also become powerful and influential when he will connect to this Mahan Atma, or, the great souls, or to Krishna also. So, see, I am Anu Atma. Anu यानी छोटे आत्मा हूँ मैं, है ना? And this, because I am an Anu Atma, when will somebody become Mahatma? By taking off Vibhu Atma, right? मैं अणु हूं और भगवान विभु है. I am Anu, I am small, and Krishna is Vibhu, infinite, So that's why, we have to take shelter of Krishna. And that is why where he's saying that Devim Prakritim Ashritah. Devim Prakriti Ashrita means we are the great souls are taking shelter of the divine nature. And uh, uh, see, if you see over here also that in the previous shloka also, these ashritam word is being used. Okay, so ashrita, why? Because only in the 11th shloka, okay, he's speaking about those demonic people. So this is very clear that no, fools deride me when I descend in the human form. But over here, the greater souls who are there, they are Devim Prakriti Ashritam. So this Devim Prakriti Ashritam is actually a very much, as far as I remember in one of the lectures I had heard that it is an indirect reference to Srimati Radharani. There are two natures. One is the material nature, one is the spiritual nature. So here the spiritual nature is referred by Devim Prakriti. So Devim Prakriti means the nature which is intimately connected to Krishna. The word Daivi also, if you see, Daivi, where Krishna is Devi Esha Guna Mai Mama Maya Duratyaya. So Krishna has said that when Krishna used, their Daivi, the intent was actually that even his energy is not independent to him, right? And there is my energy also. And my energy कैसी है? वो मेरी divine energy है. It is Devi energy of mine. In the sense that Devi energy is acting under my will. So generally, when this temptation comes, it is taking us away from Krishna. But then if I'm resisting that temptation, um, uh, to resist that temptation, then the potency I need to take shelter of Krishna is that Daivim potency. I cannot take it by my own effort. So when Daivi is used, we look at it like, the whole context. It's talking about Mahatmas, and then in this context, no, then there is no illusionary energy over here. There is no, Maya involved over here at all. And that is why the Acharyas, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur or Baldev Vidya Bhushan or Srila Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, all these, they have analyzed this internal potency of Krishna, which is Srimati Radharani, and they have actually given many summaries on this. Like when we say that we are all part and parcel of Krishna, right? Krishna has his pleasure-giving potency, which is called the Halladini Shakti. Some with Sandini and Halladini Shakti. So now because we are a part of Krishna, we also have our pleasure-giving potencies also. But because we are Anu, we are very small, our pleasure-giving potency is very tiny. And that is why if we try to enjoy separately from Krishna, right, we can enjoy, but that enjoyment is very chota, tiny. And it is limited also. But Krishna is Vibhu, infinite. His Halladini Shakti is also Vibhu, right? And that is why the happiness which comes from Krishna through this Halladini Shakti is unlimited. So when the living entities are trying to enjoy separately from Krishna, the jiva gets very, very tiny enjoyment. And he's even entangled by whatever bad karmas he's doing. And he will get even karmic reactions also to those bad karmas. So the jiva, then somebody might question, okay, जीवना करना क्या चाहिए भाई अभी? ठीक है, क्या करना चाहिए? तो this living entity is meant to do is what is his main role? His main role is only this, that he has to connect to Krishna. Because the enjoyment comes by connecting to Krishna. Krishna's Halladini Shakti gives that infinite happiness. And that is why this jiva from a lower state, he gets elevated, he gets purified, and he gets even liberated. So in this particular verse, Krishna talks about the characteristics of those people who take shelter of him. That they are Mahatmas, they are Devim Prakriti Ashrita, and they are Bhajanti, Ananya Manasa, they are Gyatva, and they know that I am the Adi Bhuta, the original creator. I am imperishable, inexhaustible. And it is describing even the inner world. So the conceptions of those who take shelter of him, that is Bhajanti Ananya Manasa. And they are fixed in worshipping Krishna. And they are not deviated from that. Now, these are actually the inner characteristics, and they are also reflected in their outer actions also, which is actually will be described in the next verse, of course. So, in general, if you see, Srila Prabhupada translated devotional service So to translate bhakti, so devotion is internal always. And service is always external. Right? So when both are present together, that is actually very much authentic bhakti. I have devotion for Krishna, that is internal. And because I have devotion to Krishna, then I will serve also, that is external. And that is why, if you see, Krishna is speaking about the devotional aspect over here. And now in the next shloka, I will speak about the service aspect, the external aspect. And that is why there is a saying that the eternal grows from the internal. अंदर से, that is why all the greatest souls की अंदर झांक के देखो, अपने मन में झांक के देखो. Why they say we have to go internal, from the externals to the internals we have to go. क्योंकि external अभी हम लोग क्या है ना, right now what is happening now with us, we are too much involved with the external. That is why we cannot see only the internals, that oh, I am a pure soul and I am connected to Krishna and I have to give up all these upadhis or bad habits, and then I have to actually serve Krishna or pray to Krishna or chant Krishna in a very selfless manner. अभी वो नहीं आ रहा है क्योंकि अभी हम बहुत externals में ही घूम रहे हैं. But the moment we'll start internalizing ourselves, that is the time where we will start growing in our devotion to Krishna. So let's go to the next shloka. It's a very wonderful shloka. So what do these devotees do? Satatam kirtayanto ma yatantascha dridvrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So he's saying over here is, what are the actions of these devotees? Saying that always chanting my glories, endeavoring with great determination, bowing down before me. These great souls perpetually worship me with devotion. So what are these devotees doing? They're chanting the glories. They are endeavoring also with great determination. They're bowing down also to me. And they are worshipping me with devotion. This is what Krishna is actually saying over here. So he's saying over here that Satatam kirtayanto mam. Always these great souls, what is happening is they are always, means what? Not that way that today they are doing and tomorrow they will not do. No, that is always chanting. Constantly they are glorifying me. And yatantascha dridvrata. They are, what are they doing? Fully endeavoring drid vrat ke saath. Drid means what? Firm determination. So endeavoring with determination. And then namastasyanta. They are offering me obeisances with bhakti. ऐसा नहीं कि only ritual है कि they are offering obeisance. And then they are saying that nitya yukta upasate. So they are constantly engaged. Prabhupada is using the word perpetually engaged, but means only, nitya means only constantly engaged. Nitya, if you see that over here, that this word nitya, okay, satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridvrata. So this nitya word is very important. And then upasate, they worship me. He's saying that also, that and then he's saying that, see, this shloka, why it is very important, because it is actually bringing out the what do you say, satatam kirtan. There's the kirtan aspect over here that is there. Kirtan means what? कि हम लोग भगवान को every time glorify कर रहे हैं. We are glorifying the Lord again and again, not again and again, but every moment we are glorifying the Lord. Okay. And if you see, glorification can be done in many ways. It can be done through speaking Krishna Katha. It can be done through even chanting. Don't underestimate chanting, that we are not glorifying Krishna. Chanting is also glorifying Krishna. And dancing in kirtans also is glorifying Krishna. Doing japa in the morning is also actually glorifying Krishna. So, Bhagavad Gita goes into the details of various spiritual paths, because now see, if you see, Krishna is telling Arjuna over here, and for Arjuna, the point is that not how to follow the path. The point is, which path should I follow? And that is why this shloka over here, Krishna is giving a very explicit path over here of bhakti. And even in the next chapter also, in the 10th chapter also, Krishna will give very explicitly, he will talk about the Chaturshloki Gita, and he'll give the same path where. And if someone asks that, okay, where in Gita the chanting of the holy name is talked about, so then we can actually show this particular shloka to them, and then the 10th chapter, Yagna Nam Yagno Api, among the various sacrifices, I am the sacrifice in doing japa. And this verse is a very, very powerful verse. He's saying, Satatam Kirtayantoma. He's talking about Kirtan very much clearly. And with very strong describing words, Satatam, always glorifying me. And that is why, even Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, Kirtaniya Sada Hari. And Sada means always, not 1 minute, 2 minutes, but it is always, he's saying. So this does not mean that in this way that, like, some devotees are having some conversation and middle of the conversation they are chanting. And especially if you do that with new people, it is very, very, irritating. We have to understand that Kirtan can be of various ways. If we are discussing seriously with devotees, something which is connected with Krishna, like, okay, we are in a temple, and a temple has some management, and we are discussing something of the management of various services also. That is also Kirtan, not Prajalpa. Prajalpa and Kirtan mein difference kya hai? Prajalpa is something which you do for your own sense gratification to satisfy yourself. Okay. But when I'm saying Kirtan, then you want to actually satisfy Krishna, you want to please Krishna, you want to be devoted to Krishna, and then connecting to that, then that will be actually Kirtan. So even if you see, Srila Prabhupada also, in his final days, he spent so much of time with His Holiness Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. He encouraged him to do scientific preaching. And he was very much, Prabhupada was very strong, critic of these scientific conceptions. So during that time, different devotees came, and they did a lot of kirtan for Prabhupada. And sometimes even His Holiness Bhakti Sarup Damodar Maharaj also would come. And Prabhupada will talk so much with him, with so much of, intimacy. So seeing this, Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, who was the personal servant of Prabhupada at that point in time, he would ask Prabhupada that, do you like to have some kirtans now? And he saw that Prabhupada was using a lot of energy. He's very weak and he's exhausted. So then Prabhupada asked that what are we doing now? Because he was discussing with his oldest Sarup Damodar Maharaj. What do you think we are doing? Are we doing some illicit sex right now? These are very clear words. And Prabhupada is saying that this is also Kirtan. So Srila Prabhupada wanted to drive home, point it very empathetically that the discussion that is related to the services of Krishna are also Kirtan. And of course, if we are always discussing practical things only, like we have to do this in this festival, and we can, like recently, you know, in Pune, we had this 21 days Chandan Yatra, and different groups took different themes. And right in front of the altar, if you see, uh, they actually, you know, prepared some nice, you know, different pastimes of Krishna, like the Madan Mohan pastime of Krishna, or the Nauka Vihar pastime of Krishna, or the Barsana pastime of Krishna. So these were, you know, different, you know, practical things. And for that, of course, you know, people have to get together and they have to discuss, okay, what do we know? We need flowers, we need a big, you know, mountain, we need a temple, we need, you know, some props, we need some flowers, we need some monkeys and cows. So much of discussion actually takes place when, you know, there are services related to Krishna. So that is also Kirtan, and we are discussing something practical things, even for festivals also. We discuss so many things that how the program has to be conducted and how these books will be distributed. So if we are only doing management, then although that is also Kirtan, but we may not stay in consciousness of Krishna. So we also need to hear on a regular basis Krishna Katha. That is directly Krishna Katha. That means it can be philosophy, it can be pastimes, but which is not connected to the management. And that is why Prabhupada used to say that devotees in Krishna consciousness, they are trying to constantly serve Krishna in various ways. And, you know, if you see how at a multiple level we practice Krishna conscious, even the arrangement by which kirtans can be done is also kirtan. Like for example, I want to organize a big kirtan into the temple. So what all things do I need? I need a mic, I need a mridanga, I need kartals, I need devotees, I need a space which is actually has having a boundary. Then I need to see that these devotees are not sweating while doing kirtan. I need a good fan. Now, this is also kirtan. If I am giving some facilities to those who are glorifying the Lord, that is also kirtan. And that is why if you see His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj so much emphasizes on being das, 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 anu das. Even a menial service to any devotee doing kirtan, that is also kirtan. And that is why I saying, yatantascha dridhavrataha. My devotees are endeavoring with very great determination. And that is why he's saying that how are they doing this? They're doing with here he's talking about ananya manaso. Vajanti ananya manaso. They are actually, what are they doing is that the mind of these devotees, they are not distracted. Like the previous sloka also we spoke that the minds are not distracted from anything else. And then, so see, somebody might question, okay, that okay, if the minds are not disturbed or not distracted, then what is the use of this Dridhavrata? So, for us, we need Drid Vrata because हमारा मन इधर उधर जाता है. Okay. And we don't feel like serving Krishna. So Drid Vrata is the, you can say in one way that this determination, this Drid Vrat जो है ना, is the way love is expressed towards Krishna, you can say. Ki bhai, I am determined. But it is one way of expressing Krishna. Ki main, just like for example, if a girl, loves a boy, okay, and she's constantly thinking. Now, if the parents say that, okay, we will get you married to another boy, but the girl is दृढ़व्रत, she is determined, नहीं, मैं करूंगी तो शादी सिर्फ इसी से ही करूंगी, मैं किसी और से नहीं शादी करूंगी. So this is her way of, because she is stubborn, she is adamant on this boy only. So this is one way of expressing her love towards that boy, and this is one way of the Mahatmas also expressing their love towards Krishna, or the pure devotees' love towards Krishna is expressed in them. So just give me 1 minute. So Dridvata is the way we express our love towards Krishna, and love is we wanted to do wonderful things for our beloved, कि मैं इनके लिए ये करूंगा वो करूंगा, and we will do many challenging things also, like some people will run away and get married, and so many challenging things. Some people will climb that wall and they will go down, or the boy will also do some challenging things. He will climb a tree to meet the girl through the balcony or something. So many things we have seen in the movies also. So we'll do many challenging things. And it is not that the lover will search for the challenges. It is not like that because we love Krishna, we will serve for them. No. But whatever will please my lover, I will do it for him. Whatever it takes, whether it is taking my time, money, and it is taking my efforts, whatever it is, I will do it, for the lover. So we see that in even Srila Prabhupada's life also, so much of endeavor, and so many times Prabhupada, is empowered, that actually, blinds us of the fact that Prabhupada struggled a lot. And one of the success of Srila Prabhupada was that he was tirelessly a hard worker. He will sleep for very few hours at night, and a whole day, he's vigorously sharing Krishna consciousness throughout the world. And um, and see, this world is actually in control of Krishna, but still the pure devotees of Krishna, they have shown so much of strong determination to overcome the obstacle of this world which is coming in their way, right? And which is actually showing their love for Krishna. See, in Prabhupada's time, in the early days when Prabhupada went to USA, and Prabhupada goes to a port, and and he sees that from here I can take a ship and go back to India. So if Prabhupada would have done that, we would have stayed in a very sensual life only, and a life which is completely away from Krishna. So we are so much grateful to Prabhupada that because of his Dridvrata, because of his determination, uh, we are in Krishna consciousness today, like, and that is why we also need to be Dridvata in our life, to the extent of we doing kirtan enthusiastically, we'll be Dridvata. And because when we are doing kirtan very seriously, then kirtan will give us a higher taste, which will give us a higher reality, and will actually show us the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So whatever obstacles are there, they are actually, we also know that it is temporary. I am a soul. I wanted to attain a spiritual level of consciousness, and I will endeavor for that. And see, endeavor to anybody has to do, even in the material world, to attain something. Even a student has to study law or medicine for 4 to 5 years. He also has to struggle, endeavor, sleepless nights, and he has to sacrifice so many things to gain something, right? So sacrifice is there, endeavor is also there. So that is why saying that for that he's doing what? Namastanscha mam bhaktya. So these people, what are they doing? They are bowing down before me. They are offering obeisances. So Krishna is describing different forms of devotional service. And that is why this word, and is used. Cho. And different forms of devotional service. And that is Nitya Yukta Upasate. So externally, mind is constantly engaged. And internally, the mind is not deviated. The mind is fixed onto Krishna consciousness. बाहर से हमने अपने मन को जो है सारी भगवान की एक्टिविटीज में लगाया हुआ है. We are doing only those activities which is related to Krishna. But internally, my mind is not deviated from the goal of my life, which is to please Krishna. See, many times now, even like recently, I was taking an initiation interview. And I asked that person, oh, what is the goal of doing bhakti? You're doing bhakti, but what is your goal of doing bhakti? So that devotee told me that I want to go back home, back to Godhead. I want to go to Goloka. That is, the goal of me doing bhakti. So I said that, is it? Then he thought for a while. He or she, whoever it is, thought for a while. And then later on, the devotee realized that no, actually, we are doing bhakti to please Krishna. Our very existence, Krishna has created us only to please him. He's created him for himself only. But when we please Krishna, Krishna does not keep quiet. He's a reciprocal God. So what will he do? He will also equally reciprocate. I am reciprocating 10%, he'll reciprocate 20%. And then I am reciprocating 40%, he's reciprocating 80% from there. So that's how externally the mind will be constantly engaged, and internally my mind will not be deviated. Okay, let's go to the next shloka. I'm very sorry I'm taking this section so slowly, but these are very important things. And in a way, the whole idea of learning Bhagavad Gita or hearing Bhagavad Gita or even speaking Bhagavad Gita, I'm talking about myself also. The whole idea is that we start applying these things in our life. Our faith keeps on increasing day by day, and we go more towards from the externals to the internals we go. We try to connect ourselves more and more to Krishna. Currently, material world itna havi hai hum pe, then connecting to Krishna becomes very difficult. But the moment we keep on hearing about Krishna, it will get us connected to Krishna more and more. Okay. Now, in this particular shloka, Krishna will explain more about his Ananya Bhakta and, pure devotional service. And so this section, he will actually, means in this 15th shloka, he will talk about, the three kinds of jnanis who worship Krishna by cultivating knowledge. So he's saying over here that ज्ञान यज्ञेन चापि अन्येन यजन्तो मामुपासते एकत्वेन पृथक्त्वेन बुधा विव sorry Vishwato Mukham. So he's saying over there that others who engage in sacrifice by the cultivation of knowledge worship the Supreme Lord as one without a second, as diverse in many and in the universal form. So he's saying over here that Krishna is telling that those others who are worshipping with knowledge, jnana yagnena chapi annena cha api annena, and yajanto mam upasate. And so Krishna is acknowledging that they worship him. And how do they worship him? They worship him with ekatvena prithaktvena. Etatvena means with oneness and prithaktvena means with duality, right? So, prithaktvena bahuda, that the Supreme Lord is manifest in many, many other forms. And he's saying, Vishwato Mukham, they worship him as the universal form also, in the Virat Roop also, and in the, Vishwaroop form also. So this verse is actually, if you see, that this verse actually is the seed for a lot of discussion. When I'm saying ekatvena, through oneness, or the Brahmavadis, the Mayavadis, talked about in the 11th shloka or the 12th shloka. So this ekatvena, when Krishna will speak about this, he'll speak about his ekatvena even in the 12th chapter also. And when Arjuna is asking this question, that who is better, a personalist is better or an impersonalist is better, and Krishna will say that, or will give the answer there. But the Prithaktavena Buddha is referring to those who are worshipping the demigods. And so, of course, demigod worship is a very different conception, which will be discussed. Like, and Prithaktavena Bahuda means what? There are many, many manifestations of, the divine forms. And we can worship many manifestations. And this conception also Krishna will elaborate, in just in another like 4-5 shlokas more, where he will again contrast demigod worship versus pure devotional service. And then he's saying that Vishwato Mukham means actually the idea of Vishwa being the Mukha or the Roop of the Lord. So he'll be speaking about even the universal form. So if you see, uh, you know, in the 16th, 17th, 18th, and the 19th, very briefly, Krishna will mention about the universal form. And later on in the 11th chapter, Krishna will completely elaborate the universal form. And even if you see in this 13th and 14th shloka also, Krishna is speaking about, pure devotional service. So, again, he will speak, so if you see, Krishna is time and again repeating in different ways. He's serving, the same item in a different, manner, which will appeal to the masses. And Arjuna will ask also, question about Vibhuti Yoga, and Krishna will answer, slowly, slowly. So he's saying that Vishwato Mukham and Prithaktavena Buddha, demigod worship. So, there are actually 3 conceptions. If somebody has the, what do you say, Subodhini, when people will be God conscious, it is not that suddenly they will start thinking about God. Their conceptions will evolve gradually. One may think that, so one may think that around me, I think this is universe is so great, and this universe itself is so divine and so nice, and you know, and somebody might think, oh, that everything is God, सब कुछ भगवान है. So one may start worshipping the universal itself only as God, and one visualizes, different parts of this universe also as the supreme being Krishna. So here this conception is associated with bigness, badapan, like, and it is associated with even greatness. And greatness will always be associated with Krishna only. Right? So Krishna is greatest. So he must be greatest and the biggest, sorry, he must be biggest, and the biggest thing we see is the universe. So the sun and the moon, they are eyes of Krishna, and the mountains are bones of Krishna. And this sort of, conception is spoken in the, and that is their meditation. Yes, that is why sometimes, some people love the mountains and nature, and, they're able to appreciate Krishna's creation. And their meditation is on the Vishwarupa form of the Lord. And that is why they think that, let me worship Krishna with Ekatvena and Prithaktvena and Vishwatomukham. So this Vishwatomukham is the idea that universal form is to be worshipped, and because Krishna has many various, manifestations, and he is the universal controller, and that is why he has to be worshipped. And beyond this, the spiritual reality, that is Ekatvena, so one will worship that also. So if you see in the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's explaining a hierarchy. Okay. The hierarchy is progressing from downwards to upwards. Means what? This Vishwata Mukham that is there is actually the lowest. And Prithaktvena Bahuda is intermediate level. And Ekatvena is very highest. Why? Because the conception is moving from the material to the spiritual. So first one is they think of material bigness in times of size. Like this is Vishwatomukam. है ना? And uh, uh, and after that one is thinking of the controller. You know, controller, you can say that one is thinking about consciousness. And then after that one is thinking about spiritual consciousness in the form of this Ekatvena, oneness, which is lying beyond, and the underlining matter, controlling matter. So that sense the evolution of that. So Prabhupada explains it in a very opposite manner. Okay. So he's saying that one who worship. So when he's saying that this Vishwarupa form, Vishwarup, when somebody is worshipping the Vishwarupa form, the aspect of universal form is used as a material meditational tool to actually reach Krishna, right? And then he's saying that Prakriti Upasana, Prithaktvena Bahuda, he's talking about that different manifestations people can do in different ways, but somebody can do Prakriti Upasana also. Means what? They consider demigods as the symbol of, Brahman, and they are worshipping demigods accordingly. And then one is the, Ekatvena. Ekatvena Upasana means what? Ahangra Upasana. Ahangra Upasana means one is worshipping oneself as the absolute. They are not Mayavadis because they don't offend Krishna's, form. So, Angra Upasana can be understood that considering oneself as Krishna in itself is not Mayavadi. It is not necessarily always offensive. What makes Mayavad offensive is the notion that Krishna's form is material. Krishna's form is illusionary. Krishna's form is false. And that one has to go beyond Krishna's form to some other higher reality. That thinking is only itself very, offensive. And that is, somebody has to give up that particular thinking. So Prabhupada is actually, explaining in different, perspectives, that philosophical perspective is that Mayavadi is better than, the Karmis. Why is that? Because Karmis are engaged in sense gratification, but the Mayavadi is detached from sense gratification. Mayavadi has more, you can say, philosophical insight, and he understands it to some extent that this world cannot provide me any happiness. So many Mayavadis, if you see, are very renunciates. I told you previously also, they might be wearing saffron clothes also and speaking the same, philosophy also, and they might be, good in quoting shlokas also from the scriptures, and they are actually pursuing also Krishna. So their philosophical, insight is more sophisticated than the karmis also. So some of them will live, life in, mode of goodness. But karmis are living a life full of passion. So when we are speaking about this, so then, the devotional aspect will be like, because different, perspective is there. So the devotional perspective will be that karmis are better than the Mayavadis or greater. In devotional perspective, once we can say that when I'm in devotion or I'm doing bhakti, so then my position is not determined where I am, but what is my attitude towards Krishna, that is more important. So if I'm a blasphemer of Krishna, then I'm offensive towards Krishna. Then in that sense, a karmi is better than me. A karmi is better than the Mayavadi, because karmi has a greater chance of coming closer to Krishna, because they are not offensive towards Krishna. Whereas this Mayavadi, he thinks that their goal is to go beyond Krishna. And because of their this offensive thinking, making advancement in bhakti is very difficult for them. And that is why, if you see, even in the commentary of Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he's explained that this is the lowest, this Vishwato Mukham, this is the lowest type of upasana done to the Lord, and the highest would be Ekatvena as such. Philosophical is that, spiritual realities, worship. So they were means, Ekatvena means these people worship Krishna in oneness, thinking themselves as God, the Mayavadis that are there. But when, it is turned around मतलब क्या? एकत्वेनो को नीचे डालो, विश्वतो मुखम को ऊपर डालो. When it is turned around, then the conception of worship is most prominent in Vishwarupa and least prominent in Ekatvena. Why? Because if I'm worshipping myself, then actually it is a paradox of terms that I'm doing. or worshipping myself, Meri puja upasana karo. It is not very, because uh, there are many other various demigods also higher than me. They should be worshipped because their position is better than my position at the moment, right? So that is why Prabhupada also in the purport, he's mentioning that, where is that? Huh. Such people think themselves to be the supreme Lord, and in this mentality they worship themselves. This is also a type of God worship, for they can understand that they are not material body, but actually spirit soul. At least such a sense is prominent, right? So the important line is that this is also a type of God worship, right? So this is not Mayavadi in one sense. This is one type of, you can say, Brahmavada. Aham Brahmasmi. They are thinking that I am also God. So that is why they think in that terms. Okay, let's go to the next shloka. कुछ चीजें टेक्निकल लगेगी आपको, but don't worry, eventually when you keep on reading, you will get the hang of it. Okay. Okay. So now from this shloka onwards, Krishna is actually saying that Krishna is the various elements of all the sacrifices. Whatever sacrifice, one performs. So when you look at Vishwarupa Upasana, so what is he talking about? That he's talking about that all these elements that are required, I am only those elements actually. So he's saying that Aham kratur aham yagna swadhamam aham aushadham mantro aham evagyam aham agnir aham hutama. So he's saying that, but it is I who am the ritual, I the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant, I am the butter and the fire and the offering. So this is what he is saying. He's saying that aham kratur aham yagna. So here Krishna is talking about various elements in the sacrifice, and kratur refers to the Vedic ritual that is he's talking about. And then he's saying that yagna, I am only that yagna. So yagna is actually, when you say, when he's saying about, smriti sacrifice, it is actually a, you can say a Puranic ritual smriti sacrifice, you can say. That means that there are sacrifices that are mentioned in very different, Puranas and scriptures. And accordingly, they give, different technical name. So in a general non-technical sense, we can say that kratur is actually sacrifice. Especially kratur is referring to sacrifice is of the Vedas. Refers to sacrifices the Vedas. So Krishna is saying that I am both the sacrifices over here, and then he's saying that Swadham, I am what is offered in that oblation. Swaha, when we do na. Swadha, when we do Swaha, that way. So, and then he's saying that Aham Aushadham, I am that healing herb. And then he's saying that I am only that mantra also. Mantra aham. Whatever mantras that are chanted, I am that particular mantra. Aham evajyam. Whatever that ajyam that is there, the melted butter that is there, that I am only that. And Agni also, I am only that fire. Right? So basically, when when Krishna is telling all this, he is helping us to see when some sacrifice is happening. Okay, yagna हम लोग करते हैं ना. Every day we are doing yagya. Every day, on a daily basis, when I'm chanting also, I'm doing some yagya. So Krishna is helping us to see that when a sacrifice is happening, it is not that the material elements that are, interacting, but ultimately it is a manifestation of himself only, right? So we will see a more, evolved thought that what is happening, in the fourth chapter also, he says, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahave, Brahmanoga, Brahmanahutam, Brahmaivatena, Gantavya, Brahma Karma, Samadhina, sorry. So over there also he's saying that what has happened, that was all the elements of sacrifice, they were identified with Brahman, right? So here it is described that all the elements of sacrifice are Brahman. But here it is accepted, the thought is taken, it is actually taken more ahead. And that is why he's saying that I am that. Directly Krishna is saying that Aham Kratur Aham Yagna. I am only all this. So somebody might ask that why Krishna is mentioning all this over here. So the point over here is that when this yogi, uh, Nishkam yogi, is performing that sacrifice, Nishkam yogi does not know what is, the absolute truth, or he does not know who is Krishna. But when one is moving, or progressing, he starts understanding that who is Krishna, what is Krishna, and then it is very clear for a devotee also that all the manifestations of this yagya are the manifestations of the Supreme Lord only, Krishna. And that is why he'll very much understand very clearly that यज्ञ के जितने भी ये जो है ये सारे भगवान से ही आ रहे हैं. So next he is saying that this is the 16th shloka, right? Now further he says that so from the 17th shloka to the 19th shloka, Krishna is saying that he is all pervading, he is the ultimate shelter, and he is also the cause of all causes. And that is why he says that Pitaham asya jagato mata dhata pitamaha vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yajur evacha. He's saying that I am the father of this universe, the mother, the support, and the grandsire. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier, and the syllable Om. I am also the Rig, the Sam, and the Yajur Vedas. This is what Krishna is actually saying over here. So, what is the connection over here when he's actually saying, all this over here? The point is that, see, this Vishwarup Upasana, which we discussed in the 15th shloka, okay? So this Vishwarupa Upasana, when one starts conceiving of everything in this particular universe, which is connected to the Supreme Lord, and it is manifesting the Supreme Lord. So this whole world will have very different supports, different shelters. And Krishna is saying that in sabka shelter main hi hu. Krishna is saying, I am all of them. Whatever you support you have, I am the father of the universe, I'm the mother, I'm the support, I'm the grandizer, I'm everything. So, if you see, somebody might just ask that, okay, should I take this really literally? So sometimes some statements are mentioned that you can, Maitri Deva Bhava, Pitri Deva Bhava, you know. So, is it literal sense? Uh, or, you know, when we say that, are they God? Or, and if they are God, then we had two gods. Mother wanted the son to become, you know, like, you know, see, even even then mother wanted to become, mother wanted the son to become an engineer. Father wanted to become doctor. Then which god the son should actually, you know, have followed? The mother god or the father god? So the point is not to disrespect, of course, our parents as such, but the point is to recognize that this in this world also there are many people who will help us in advancing materially and spiritually also, and we are grateful to them. But we also have to recognize that there is something which is the ultimate reality which we have to be grateful to. Okay. So we are grateful to our parents, but here the point is Krishna is making that whoever are the shelters of this world ultimately is the manifestation of him only. Like many times you must have heard this. अरे हमने अपने ना भगवान को तो नहीं देखा, लेकिन भगवान के रूप में माता पिता आ गए हैं, right? है ना? So it is he who is benefiting us through those things. To our parents, Krishna is benefiting us. If I'm born in a Vaishnav family, if I'm born in a spiritual family, then Krishna has given me that facility to be born in a Vaishnav family, and he has facilitated me and he's benefiting me, you know. So it is Krishna who is giving me the shelter. Krishna who is giving that love. Krishna who is giving that, you know, the strength of that shelter through the mother and father and, you know, other devotees also. And Krishna is only giving us the knowledge. And he is only giving us the knowledge which is purifying us. Right? So, what is our knowledge? He is giving us the Vedas. So ultimately, everything is coming from him, and ultimately, everything gets its, you know, Shakti or potency through Krishna only. And that is how this particular verse has to be understood. And we will see that this is again and again repeated also in the 11th chapter, and how everything is. So, if you see in Prabhupada's purport also, where he's saying that. Uh, Where is this Achintya Bheda Ved Tattva written? Oh. Yeah. Actually, any living entity being a part and parcel of Krishna is Krishna. So actually, it is like, you know, the Achinda Bheda Ved Tattva, which is not different from, you know, the whole, because the part is also manifestation of the whole. So all the Vedas therefore aim only towards Krishna. Whatever we want to know through the Vedas is a progressive step towards understanding Krishna. That subject matter which helps us purify our consciousness position is especially Krishna only. And that is why he's saying about कि ये अचिंत्य भेदाभेद तत्व है. The acharyas say that it is अचिंत्य भेदाभेद तत्व as such. Okay, let's go to the next shloka. What is 18th mein he is saying? He's saying that Gatir Bharata Prabhu Sakshi Nivasa Sharanam Surit Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam Nidhanam Bijam Avyayam. He's saying that I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge, and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything, the resting place, and the eternal seed. So, whatever is giving shelter ultimately is actually me only, right? Where he's saying over here is Gatir Bharta, right? Gatir Bharta means what? Gatir means my ultimate uh, goal or destination, And Bharata means maintainer, sustainer, है ना? मैं ही वो हूँ. And Prabhu, I am only that Lord. I am only that master, right? And then he's saying that Sakshi, I am only that witness. And I am only that Nivas. I am only that abode. Nivas means actually shelter also. And sorry, Sharanam is the shelter. Nivas means abode only. And he's saying that Sharanam is the refuge, is the shelter. And Surid, Surid, so many times Krishna has spoken. Surid Sata, Surid Sarvabhutanam. He's the ever well-wishing friend or the greatest friend of all living entities. And he's saying, Prabhava Pralaya Sthanam. When this creation is taking place, okay, then when it is unfolding from him, the Pralaya, the dissolution is taking place and it is resting in him only. So that sthanam is ultimately what? That ground is only Krishna only. Nidhanam bijam vyam. He is the resting place for everything and bijam avyayam. He is that imperishable सीड जिसका कोई नष्ट नहीं हो सकता है, कोई इस बीज को नष्ट नहीं कर सकता है. तो इफ यू सी कृष्णा ने अव्ययम वर्ड बहुत बार यूज किया हुआ है. 7th चैप्टर में भी अव्ययम यूज किया हुआ है ना. एंड ही इज टॉक्ड अबाउट इन द 7th चैप्टर दैट ओके बीजम सर्वभूताना and normally we see when a seed is growing, okay, into a tree, a seed no longer exists. But Krishna remains as he is, even though so many living entities and the universe keep coming from him. Krishna remains the same. ऐसा नहीं कि कृष्णा ने एक यूनिवर्स क्रिएट किया और उनका अस्तित्व खत्म हो गया यार, his existence is over. No, not like that. Krishna will never be, you can say, depleted from, father or many, like, from his own children. Like, ये कि father से बहुत सारे बच्चे निकले लेकिन father, get depleted, ऐसा नहीं है. Krishna is imperishable. He is avyayam. So, this verse very wonderfully explains that what is Krishna. We have a definition, or you can say, what is the definition of God? He is the generator, he is the organizer, and he is the source of everything. And he is also the absolute truth in terms of relationship with us and the things around us. And that is why this is a verse to very much meditate upon the absolute truth. And if you see in this world also, so many people help us and we are grateful towards them. And we also recognize that it is Krishna who is helping us through them. And we become, nimitta matra. Ultimately, Krishna wants to help. But Krishna will not directly help that devotee. Indirectly, through another person, he will help. So, that is how Krishna is helping his devotees. That is how Krishna is maintaining his devotees also. If a devotee is in trouble, I'm solving one case actually recently from 4-5 days, that this devotee has done something and he's been boycotted by many people. But ultimately, we always see three things. Okay. That person's bhakti should not get affected in any way. Secondly, whatever contributions he or she has done to this particular movement should be, acknowledged or recognized. And thirdly, he should not go away from ISKCON to any other organization as such. Otherwise, he or she will, blaspheme ISKCON as such. And that is why it is very necessary that to maintain that devotee, to sustain that devotee within the organization itself, and not to, just abandon him. Krishna also does not abandon. Indra did such a big, what do you say, offense. But Krishna took him to the side, corner mein leke he gave the talk to Indra. Indra was already repenting. Indra knew his mistake, what mistake I have done. He was repenting. So Krishna did not make him feel more guilty. So somebody, even our own children, if they're doing something wrong, we should not make them feel more guilty. But we should explain to them that next time they should not be doing this. They should not be repeating. Like His Holiness Bhakti Brith Bhagavad Maharaj, he always says that you make mistakes, but you don't repeat the same mistake again. Repeating the same mistake again is like animalistic. You make new mistakes every day, but don't repeat that. You learn from your mistakes. What lessons you've learned, you write it down. This is a lesson I have learned from a mistake and I'm not going to repeat it anytime. Then that way, things will remain proper. Okay, I rest my speech over here. If anybody has any doubts, queries, questions, comments, you all are free to ask me. Everybody's awake? Or everybody went off to sleep with my boring class?
We are awake, Mataji. We are
Yeah.
awake.
Yeah, because there's pin of silence as such, So I thought that somebody has any query, they can ask me as such. Okay, if nobody has any query, we'll just stop for the day. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna, Hare Bol.
Thank you, Mataji. Krishna.